Look, we're going to have to go back to, obviously, Macron knew something, Morrison knew something, Barnaby apparently knew something, but Biden also, our little mate. Sleepy Joe, as he's called here on Sky News, he knew the plan all along, says Cameron Stewart, who was the associate editor who obviously was the US correspondent for a long time. In the palatial Eisenhower building, a few steps from Joe Biden's Oval Office in Washington, there is a confidential 15-page document that raises serious doubts about the president's claim he believed France knew ahead of time that its $90 billion contract with Australia would be terminated. The document shows Mr Biden's advisors in the White House National Security Council were fully aware that France had not been told ahead of the announcement of the new AUKUS pact in September, and the contract to build French attack-class submarines was doomed. I guess I love the fact that Biden, he's not really the sharpest tool at this point in time, but he's pretty swifty on his feet, because he was basically handballing this left, right and centre yesterday.
Mate, what did he call it? Sloppy? Was it sloppy? Is that what he called it in the end? The way it was handled, or something similar to that effect. I mean, he's happy to just drive by and give everybody a whack on the way through.
Yep.
I really worry about his leadership and his credentials there. I mean, stand up and say this was an important strategic move for the United States to join forces with the US.
Yep.
Sorry, with Australia and with the UK.
Yep.
And, you know, obviously France is also a bit shitty that the UK left the EU.
Yeah.
So are we just the little guy to kick on, like in Australia in some sense?
It is like the Real Housewives of the UN at this point in time. Everyone is bitching. Can we just focus on what is supposed to happen in Glasgow? For God's sake, fellas,
or maybe it's like Love Island and we vote people off all the time. You know, couple up. Yeah. Australia's couple. It's a throuple now. Australia, the US, and the UK. That
is a visual I did not think.
Sorry, Jenna.
Yeah. Now, let's go to the Sydney papers, because it is all happening on the Sydney papers tomorrow. We'll start with the Daily Telegraph, and I love the fact that we've got a James Morrow exclusive. Macron adds a splash of vintage French wine, the frog of war. French President Emmanuel Macron knew all along that his deal to build submarines for Australia was in trouble, with Prime Minister Scott Morrison repeatedly raising direct concerns, torpedoing claims by Mr Macron that Mr Morrison lied about the future of France's deal to build diesel submarines for Australia. It can be revealed that the PM made multiple attempts to raise concerns. I love this, but then let's go to the crosstown rival, the Sydney Morning Herald. PM lied, says Macron. Scott Morrison has been branded a liar by French President Emmanuel Macron in an incendiary claim that has deepened a rift between Australia and France and created a political storm over the Prime Minister's integrity. And obviously there's a great piece by Peter Hartcher, PM given the cold shoulder, and David Crow's analysis and things like that. But I think you could have picked that both of these papers were going to go down the exact route that they've gone.
You're either on Team Australia or you're not, Jenna. Basically, that's what that says. You know what's interesting? Now we know why Scott Morrison didn't want to go to Glasgow. It had nothing to do with signing up to any sort of deal about climate change.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to see Emmanuel Macron.
I just wanted to say, you could practically feel the heat that was coming off mobile phones of PMO staffers on that flight from Rome to Glasgow when he got off, and he was like, right, everyone's been backgrounded, everyone's been briefed.
How about the accusation, though, as well, of selfies? That this journo's taking selfies with the French Prime Minister.
I think Trudy McIntosh from Sky was like, there wasn't.
No.
Cool story, bro.
Oh, wow. Like, this is what they're there to talk about, climate change.
Exactly. This is what gives me the absolute irrits. Like, this is now dominating. This will probably dominate day 2 as well.
Absolutely.
And we are trying to focus on, mate, let's bash Greta's, stance on climate change, because she's saying you need to get aggro every once in a while. Meanwhile, we're too concerned with these middle-aged blokes saying he lied. No, he lied. Sort it out, you bunch of hot messes.